Hello, Internet peeps, and welcome to another edition of the Nemesis Project. I am Joe Dubs,
I'm Zach, brother.
and we are here for part 2 of our REbirth episode, because last episode we did Resident Evil 1 Remastered, and now we are doing Resident Evil 0 with Rebecca Chambers, Bravo Team. Yeah, so kind of quick story. This is a prequel to Resident Evil 1, and this came out pretty much after Resident Evil 1 Remastered, part of the GameCube stuff, because Nintendo got control of all the Resident Evil games, and they started coming out with Resident Evil 1 Remastered, Resident Evil 0, and then Resident Evil. They came out with 2 and 3, and then they did 2 and 3 again, and then they did Resident Evil 4. So that was cool. What'd you think of the story that they had, like the little scrolling story about they wanted to know about this corporation Umbrella? Like, I thought it was cool, but then started seeing like an opera singer with all the leeches. I thought it was like cheesy as hell.
Yeah, that's something about this game that I don't really think jives with the rest of the series. Kind of like some of the stuff they were pulling in Code Veronica a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Started getting a little paranormal over there, but going into our first section right away, all aboard the train, because that's what we start with. Well, we don't really start with that. We start with Rebecca Chambers and Bravo Team in the helicopter, and then did it just malfunction and crashed, or did something hit it? Did it get shot down? Did they ever say anything about that?
From the cutscene, it looks like something malfunctioned in the motor, the rotor, main
Mm.
rotor motor. There's just some sparks. There's like a little explosion, and there's some smoke, and they crash land, sorta.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not too far away from a crashed out wagon and a train.
Yeah, and then eventually getting to Resident Evil 1, where they're at the mansion, because how convenient.
Yeah.
Anyway, the train scene where it felt really Nazi-ish. Like they had like one of the workers had like a little umbrella pennant. Like, remember back in the day in World War II, in 1940s and 1930s, like every Nazi member had like a Nazi symbol, the swastika pin on them. Like, seeing that umbrella logo, it kind of reminded me of like the World War II era. I was like, what the fuck?
I guess. I mean, a lot of big corporations, some of their officials will usually have a pin from their company on them.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
America does it. They have little America pins, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It just felt like, oh, this evil corporation. They look like Nazis. And
Well, the thing is, nobody thought they were evil back then. It's like, oh, those are the guys that make the aspirin. That's
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, and they kind of give you a prequel story on how the T virus got released and everything, which led to the scenes of Resident Evil 1, which is pretty cool. But then again, like, we'll explain it in the episode. There's a lot of continuity errors.
Yeah, some things don't add up really.
Mm-hmm. But before we get into that, let's get into the development of Resident Evil. I almost said 1, but 0. So this game was supposed to release on the N64. They had a little attachment thing. What was it? It was called DV what?
The 64 DD, I guess the DD stands for disk drive because it's supposed to handle disks.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like N64 graphics. If you played this game on GameCube or any remastered or HD game, you could tell that the graphics are beautiful, and especially the train scene. All the footage that I saw of the N64 was on the train, and it looked identical. I mean, not graphic wise, but like the layout and everything. So So that was like interesting that they were gonna do the N64, and then at some point they knew like 2 years later the GameCube was gonna come out, and they wanted to make the game look superior, and that there was not a lot of load times, so they wanted to make sure that they could have something more powerful to do,
Hmm.
and so they decided to scrap the project and wait for GameCube. Uh, do you have anything else about the development? Because that's all I read and actually saw footage of.
Yeah, I think they were initially going to have a disc drive version, and then they found out, oh, they're not going to put that out in America, so they scrapped that idea
Mm-hmm.
and decided to just go with the cartridge. And they were confident they could have it running on one cartridge, and they got fairly far into develop, not too far, but enough to where they could like put together a demo at E3 and stuff, which you can find footage of that demo. It's not great quality, but it's out there. It's kind of neat to see, really.
Would you
Um,
would you argue that the GameCube is a port of the N64?
nah, I don't really think you can port a incomplete game, but allegedly, from what I understood, the main factors behind them deciding to do that was that one, they were having a lot of performance issues out of the 64, where when zombies and dogs would attack, like supposedly the frame rate would chug like in that demo.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got to a point where they realized, oh shit, we can't make this work on one cart. It got to a point where they'd have to cut a significant amount of content for the game just to like work. And they decided not to do that and just move development to GameCube.
And what I know is that Capcom and Mikami, he likes to have a lot of zombies on one screen to make it challenging, and if he can't do that without frame rate issues, like, yeah, you would have to wait for the GameCube to come out so that one, it will look beautiful, which it is, and two, just so that you could have multiple zombies, especially when you're working with two characters at the same time. So yeah, you have to put that on the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, or is that it?
That's basically it for the game itself. The only other little tidbit I found was that this was supposed to set up for the first version of Resident Evil 4, where like Leon's in that castle and that airship and stuff, like
Mm-hmm.
the game that looks like a traditional Resident Evil game that never came out.
Yeah, how sad. And
Yeah,
we will get to Resident Evil 4.
its day is coming.
Yeah, we got to get through the one episode of the bad games, the quote unquote bad games.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into some comparison, I guess. Right off the bat, I do want to talk about graphics wise. The graphics were amazing on all platforms for me. I played the PS4 one. Funny story. Quick side note: I played the PS4 one, and I saved on the train, and I forgot to save later on in the game. So I died I was in the basement of the game, and then all of a sudden I found myself back on the train. I'm like, what the fuck? So
you're in the basement of the training facility?
yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. So I stopped playing on PS4, and then I went on PC because I remember that I was a little further in the PC. So I decided to continue on there. So the PC one is really good. Yeah, just everything looks so beautiful, and even the GameCube one, I was looking at footage and I remember playing it. Like the background, did it have rendered backgrounds?
Yeah, it had pre-rendered backdrops like Remake 1 did.
Yeah, the lighting was really good. I mean, the lighting is more better on obviously the PS4 and PC, but even in GameCube it had that same environment where it was creepy and stuff. And I felt that the train was a little bit more creepier than the other locations of the game. What do you think about that?
the train to me is my favorite part of the game,
Mm.
actually. And yeah, just the backdrop of the area of being on that train in a Resident Evil game is really cool.
Especially
The
when
training. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
especially when you're on top of the train.
Oh yeah, that part was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
All the graphics and stuff on the train are like excellent. Sets like a really good mood. The training facility is okay. I kind of think that area drags on a little too long. It's really big and sprawling.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of comes off a bit like a mansion a little too much is kind of my issue with it. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it was definitely the chunky side of the game.
Yeah. It's massive. There's like a main area, and then eventually there's a basement that you died in and had to start over.
Yeah.
There's actually 2 different ways to get into the basement. On top of that, there's almost 2 areas of basement.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, maybe you just forgot, but it's like there's like the painting in the main hall of Marcus. You unlock it, and it takes you to another area of the basement.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And then there's that whole outside area after you unlock the weird observatory door. There's like a backyard with another building out there. Fuck, how big is this place?
Fucking huge.
Yeah, I don't know. After that, I kind of like I didn't like the weird factory area. It felt also kind of too big and sprawling, and it didn't. To me, I don't know. It didn't really resonate with me like other areas do in other games.
Now, comparing the layouts of this game and Veronica, I enjoyed Resident Evil 0 a little bit more than Veronica's Code Veronica's layout. I felt like I wasn't too lost, but again, Resident Evil 0, because the training facility was so huge and that you had to do the strategy of like the 2 characters you're playing with, like it made it a little more challenging. But that's just more of like get good at video games, you bitch kind of thing.
It's really noticeable as how kind of sideways the area design gets in this game, especially after coming off a remake.
Mm-hmm.
It's not verbatim the same layout as in the first game, but it's based awful lot on it. But it's a lot tighter than this game is.
Mm-hmm.
Even with all the extra areas.
Yeah. But I felt like the layout, I appreciated it more. And before we get into like inventory and stuff, you know how like you have to backtrack to go to the item box, which we will talk about that soon. There was less of backtracking on that, but because of the new inventory system, there was still backtracking. Like because I was comparing notes to other YouTubers that I was like, did I miss anything while playing this game? And they're like, oh, there's no more backtracking because now your items are on the floor and you could look in your map and stuff. And I'm like,
that's bullshit.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about? If I have to put an item down because I had to pick up this other item, I'm still backtracking to that fucking room to get that item again.
If anything, this method actually created a bunch of artificial backtracking.
Mm-hmm.
That you wouldn't have to do if they just put an item box in. It actually made it bogs the game's pace down a little too much.
Yeah, so I guess we'll go into it now.
Yeah.
God, the inventory system sucks in this game. Fuck it to hell. In the N64 version, they didn't put a item box at all. Like their thing was how they permanently put it in this game, where if you need an item, just drop it on the floor. And both characters only had 6 slots, so there was no expansion in your inventory. Again, if you needed an item, you had to drop the item on the floor. Good thing is, the positive thing I'll say about that is that when you look on your map, you see where you dropped your item. But at the same time, it's just like, it's fucking dumb. that you go in this room and you just like, oh, this is where I dropped all my items so that I can get, this 2-slot weapon or this 2-slot item that I need to use, like the fucking hook shot.
Yeah, I don't like how they did that. How they made weapons that previously just took 1 slot take 2.
It just, how do you go from perfect inventory systems for like 5 games where you have 1, 2, 3, and then Code Veronica and then remastered, then you go to this one? Like, you could have put an item box in there, and you could have put in extra storage for a person. Like, I feel like they purposely did this so that they can make it challenging, and you still could have made it challenging with extra slots and stuff, because it was really annoying when I had to free up space, and it was annoying that I had to kind of mentally know that, hey, I dropped the briefcase over here because I needed to pick up these items, and then I had to go get the golden silver rings and then go back to that room to get the briefcase to open it to get a fucking card.
Yeah, like, on the face of it, that whole idea about being able to drop items and pick them up is not a bad idea. It's actually a good idea. Because sometimes, in any of the old games, you would be in a situation where it's like, I'm holding a bunch of shit that I can't pick this up right now. But you could have dropped something from your inventory that was a little less important. It might be something that you're just carrying just in case you would need it or something. And you could have dropped it, picked up that key item, used it real quick, came back and got what you dropped. That would have been pretty convenient in some of those older games. But, like, and yeah, they do map out items, like, for you that you drop. But what I don't like, among other things, is that if you go in a room and you visibly see an item, but you don't pick it up, it won't track that item on your map. You have to actually try to pick it up, and then it'll actually put it on your map if you don't pick it up at that moment.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Kind of silly, yeah.
What I also noticed too is when you drop items, sometimes it doesn't drop like at your feet. Sometimes when you drop it, they'll put it in like a different part of the room.
Yeah.
Because I'll be like, all right, let me drop my knife, and then I went to go pick up this item, and then I started like doing hot potato with items with me and Rebecca.
Yeah.
I was like, where's my knife? Did I just fucking lose my knife? Because I was like, I don't remember. I remember when I dropped my items, I would be able to get it back. And then I found out that the knife was like in the other corner of the room. I'm like, that's...
Yeah, no, it dropped it in this other part of the room behind a desk that you can't see because of the camera angle. So, which is another thing I don't really like, is like, you have to try your best to put your items in a really open area where you can very readily see like the floor. Like the best area for this is like the main hall in the training facility. Everywhere else it gets kind of like inconvenient a little bit about that. Like, especially when you're near the end of the game and you're in that facility, there's like this one room. It's like, the way I always looked at it was they made hub areas where ideally when you move on to like the next big area in the game, you would want to drop all your shit in this one room. But the rest of them aren't laid out great for that, for you to be able to see where all your stuff is.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell where these hub rooms are when you just see like a million boxes of bullets and green herbs and fucking first aid sprays out of the ass. It kind of like they knew that this game was going to be challenging, and they're like, all right, we're going to reward the player so that they don't like rage quit and never play the game again. Here's a lot of here's a lot of bullets, and here's a lot of first aid sprays, which I'm guessing if you play on really hard, I played on normal. It was still a little excessive with the bullets and the first aid sprays. I don't know if you caught that.
I actually kind of felt like there was a drought of recovery items at some point in that game. Maybe I just did really shitty at some point. But I went through kind of a long period where like I really needed some healing items pretty badly, and I couldn't get any for like a while.
And I don't know if this is a bug or just because Rebecca Chambers is like the medicine woman because she's like a medic. Uh,
Yeah.
but I had a green and a red herb, and I had with Billy, and I went to go combine it, and it never combined.
Oh, he can't do it. Only she can do that.
Fucking A.
Oh, you didn't catch that, did you?
No, I was like, I played Resident Evil games before. Why ain't fucking Billy combining his weed?
I think they tell you that when you first get Billy in your party, so to speak, and then that file comes up about like all the team mechanics.
Oh, I didn't read
Uh, yeah, you
it.
probably skipped over. I always just remembered that, so I didn't forget. But like, yeah, only she can combine herbs, which is like kind of doesn't make sense because everybody else was not a fucking medic and they could combine herbs.
Yeah, there's one continuity there.
Chris is a goober who can't play the piano and he can't unlock doors and he loses his gut. He can still combine herbs, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
He knows how to smoke that dab.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why he's got that lighter.
Yeah. Billy has the lighter and he doesn't fucking do it. I guess he's a straight edge, I guess.
Billy's a convict. He should be smoking it up. I don't know why he's not.
Mm-hmm. Other than that, like that's the main inventory like problem I have with it, and just the 6 slot thing was fucking annoying. And I see what they were trying to do, be like, hey, it'd be really challenging is if we put this shotgun here, but we fill their fucking pockets up with like all this bullshit. Like they're gonna have to think how they're gonna get the shotgun, and I'm like, god damn it. I'm like, I knew this game was gonna be uh like playing 4D chess throughout the whole game.
What's really baffling to me about all this is like they had a good idea to further like the inventory management,
Mm-hmm.
and then they took several steps back with all this whole 6 slots each, no item box nonsense. And the game came out, it came and went back then, and it got a somewhat mixed reception.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people's complaints about that game was there's no item box, the inventory is annoying, it feels kind of hard, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And we're fast forward like 13 years later, and they're doing an HD version where they add in mechanics that didn't exist, like a quick reload, like on screen, among other things. They added a whole other mode where you can have Wesker in your party, and he kind of breaks the game a little bit, and it's cool.
I remember that.
But they don't add in an item box, and they know that's something people bitched about in that game that nobody likes. Nobody likes the fact that there's no item box.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe they didn't try to do it. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
I think they just got lazy. They were just like, but no, that's not an excuse because you start fucking re-releasing these games like on everything, especially on the Switch, which has bugs.
They bothered to program a whole other character in the game that has mechanics that kind of breaks the game a little bit. Why didn't they put in a box? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it, man. Like,
I mean, that's Capcom. They love to take your money. And we're stupid of doing it, but we love Resident Evil too much.
well, I wanted to see an HD version of it. It was nice,
It was nice. Kind of go off on the 2 character thing. There was a lot of strategy with 2 characters, and what's different about this game compared to others is that you could switch from character to character. So if you had to leave one character in one area and have the other character go, you could pretty much press a button and you could switch over. And I thought that was pretty cool on GameCube when it came out, because I was like, hey, we're in different parts of the maps, there's no load time, this is pretty cool. I don't know if you had that same feeling when you played it on GameCube.
No, I did that. Like, what I was saying was I don't actually think the 2-person mechanic's a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just a bunch of other issues that come up from like ideas that they had that kind of drag it down a little bit. Like one thing is the characters are very different in terms of what they can do. Like Rebecca can combine herbs,
Mm-hmm.
and he has that chemical mixing set that comes into play a couple times for like little puzzles. But she takes a lot less damage. She runs slower,
Mm-hmm.
and she shoots slower even than Billy. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, and I don't think this game could be made in this political climate because they made the woman weak and
Well,
damage.
in their defense of that, she is an 18-year-old girl
Mm-hmm.
who looks like she's 5'3" and weighs like maybe 110 pounds. And
Yeah.
she's also a rookie. Billy is an ex-marine. He's been in the service for several years. He's trained and knows how to do all this shit. And he's also a man, and he's just bigger and stronger than she is.
Well, you see, Zach, that is logic, and I totally agree with you. But today, women are supposed to be stronger and men are supposed to be dumber. And
well, Billy is dumb. He can't combine herbs.
Yeah, what an idiot.
So there you go.
Yeah,
He
but
can play the piano though.
He's fucking not Chris, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
He doesn't fucking drop his weapons like an idiot.
No.
Yeah, the two player, or no, I keep on saying two player, the two character thing was cool. I was explaining to Zach before the show that on the train where you put Rebecca in the upstairs train section with all the leeches, while you have Billy come out a certain door which activates a cutscene, and where all the leeches decide to hatch the eggs and stuff. And you go down the hall and you find out that Rebecca took care of all the leeches. I mean, there are a few that are left over, but all the leeches that were coming out are pretty much done. And you can pretty much switch. What I did too is I also switched to Rebecca because I knew that was going to happen, and started like shooting and killing those leeches.
Yeah.
Other than that, do you have anything else to say about the two characters? Like, I liked it. I just thought I was so used to doing just one character, and not thinking about two people. Thinking about two people in the game kind of messes you up a little bit. Your flow, in my opinion.
There'd be times where I'd purposefully split off and control one character.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, because this has to do with the game's balance, which is like kind of a big thing I'll tackle whenever it comes up. Where if you enter a room, like sometimes you'll enter a room and then there's like a ton of zombies or something.
Mm-hmm.
And like in that case, it's advantageous to be paired up because you can dispatch them quicker and they're slower than you, so it's not really a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But there's going to be times where you enter a room like that one basement area that's full of spiders,
and then your character gets caught.
Yeah, you could both potentially get poisoned, and that sucks. Or like Rebecca could die because she's so fragile.
Mm-hmm.
And then, or like rooms full of hunters, that's also a really bad idea. And rooms full of eliminators, which is the worst idea.
Yeah.
So if you know these encounters are coming up, they're easier to manage like the harder enemies, like if you're split up, if there's just one character trying to take care of them, because like it's less recovery, item management you have to worry about. It's easier to only worry about one character.
Mm-hmm.
It's less chance of both of you getting stun locked by enemies and stuff like that with certain attacks, and you can't do anything, because that would be the worst thing, is if you both got cornered and couldn't do anything and you both die.
Yeah. And
which can happen.
What I would usually do is when I would go into a room, I would have Rebecca stay and have Billy, who's stronger because he's a man, go out there and like clear house, and then switch to Rebecca, and then we would walk together. Because what's up?
I prefer to think it's just because he's well trained. Because hey, you play as Jill, and she can handle all her shit.
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to piss off all the feminists.
I know. We're just joshing. Calm down, everybody.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I would do, like a whole clear thing before, because I got tired of dealing with eliminators, hunters. Every time I would get fucking caught, and I would get really angry. I think that was one of the reasons why I said, "Hey Zach, can we extend this to another week?" Because I was getting ragey to the point of being like, I'm tired of dying. I don't want to play this game anymore. I want to play a fun game, like
Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 is more fun. Come on.
It is fun. I just don't. We'll talk about that next time.
There's so much foreshadowing for Resident Evil 4. We're gonna build it up, and it's gonna like be bullshit when
we're gonna put it over, brother.
We're putting it over. But no, like, there's just other stuff about the two-person thing that's not great. Like, did you ever notice, like, if you're both in a room, the AI doesn't really act on its own necessarily. The only time it'll take any kind of initiative is if you get grabbed. And then the partner character will actually turn around and shoot the guy that grabs you.
Yeah, like, boss battles where they just stand and do shit.
Yeah, that's like another case where it's like, no, you don't want to be paired up in a boss fight because you're both going to get fucking hit.
Mm-hmm.
And because the other guy will just stand there. Now, you can move the other person with the other analog stick and kind of move them out of the way if you can, do that, control two characters at once thinking while you're moving. But that's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
But I noticed that when you go to shoot enemies, they don't pick their own target. They pick the target you do all the time. So it is a little helpful because they're helping you take down an enemy faster. But at the same time, if there's a bunch of them in a room, it's actually wasting time because they could be fighting another enemy at the same time and you both take them out.
I don't know. I didn't catch on it, but maybe it did work. I don't know. Maybe I'm just saying things, but I would have Rebecca point at like a zombie behind me, and he would shoot, and then I would turn around and then shoot the other zombie, but he would be like an idiot and follow me and then shoot that zombie too, and I'm like, God damn it.
They have kind of a delayed reaction. It's not like instant to whatever you aim on. It takes about a second or two, but they'll switch to whatever you're targeting and fire on them. Yeah. That's not helpful when there's a bunch of hunters or something.
Yeah, it seems like we're being negative, but it's a good system. Just, I'm trying to think of a positive way to spin this.
This game is flawed. It's heavily flawed, but it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate this game. It's not one of my favorites by any means because of a lot of these problems. This was a game I didn't replay for a really long time between every time that I played it because of stuff like this. Because like I played it when it first came out back in 2002, and then I went several years before I ever touched it again. And I beat it again, and I think this is like maybe the fourth time I've played it, and that's over the span of it's from 2002 to 2019. I played it 4 times. That's not a lot for a game,
Mm-hmm.
If you really like a game, you'll play the fuck out of it. Like Metal Gear Solid 3, I've beat that fucking game I don't know how many times, and I still don't get tired of it.
Yeah, I will say that back then I loved this game, but now it's like the tedious things that I pick out. Now it's kind of like I don't want to play it again. There's like no replay value.
There is a little bit, I think.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that has to do with the bonus modes, especially like if you have the HD version where you can play with Wesker.
Mm-hmm.
You can play around with all his abilities. Like he has this ability where he can like shoot eye lasers. I shit you not. And it's like you can charge it up, and it like one hit kills zombies and shit. And he can also like dash across the screen super fast. He kind of breaks the game.
Oh man.
And then if you play Leech Hunter, if you bother to try to play that, it's pretty difficult, but that's how you unlock all the bonus weapons and all the infinite ammo and shit. And I feel like if you do that, that would make this game way easier to play and probably even more fun.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a submachine gun. There's two weapons you can only get from playing this mode. There's a submachine gun, and you get the Magnum that Billy gets at the end of the game in the cutscene when he kills the boss. Spoilers. Fucking, you get that Magnum with infinite ammo.
Oh man. See, I guess there's replay value, but I'm not playing this game again.
Not for a while.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's a good system, and trying to think what else was different about this game.
Not really much mechanically speaking. It's just a lot of the stuff that's really obvious, and that's kind of it, really.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you kind of mentioned this. I think you slipped a little bit, but I thought this was interesting because you said that. What would you think about this game if it was 2 players?
Oh, like co-op?
Yeah.
I think Capcom was testing the idea, and I think they kind of test the idea in Resident Evil 4 too, when you have to like drag on Ashley a lot.
Yeah.
Before they got to Resident Evil 5, where there was co-op. But I think the game would have been a little more fun to play if it was co-op.
I think so too. And like, I don't know how you couldn't really split the screen. I don't really think that's economical.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you could have done like a LAN deal, like with 2 TVs, 2 GameCubes and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that actually would have been a really cool idea.
I think they could have done split screen.
I wouldn't want to play a Resident Evil game split screen.
I think what would have been great is when you're together, you're full screen, but when you split up, they do a split screen kind of deal.
I think it'd be hard to see what's going on just because of the way that game is.
Yeah, especially when you have like a 27-inch TV.
When you have like a fixed perspective, not like you could do the over the shoulder like what RE4 started like that.
Mm-hmm.
But where it's all fixed, I don't think it would work. That's why I was saying I think you need 2 TVs for it.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Oh, this is what I want to talk about. Continuity.
Okay. Ooh, it's the big one.
Yeah, so if anybody remembers playing Resident Evil 1, especially remastered, when Chris finds Rebecca, she's scared as shit. And I will give the shadow of doubt that she went through hell in Resident Evil 0, so like I guess she'd be freaked out a little bit. But in Resident Evil 1, they made her look like a bitch. Like she doesn't know how to fight anything. And
I actually think that's more realistic.
Oh, I mean, yeah, compared to what she did in Resident Evil 0, yeah.
It's more believable because she's 18 years old. She's a rookie, you know. She's probably barely trained at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you go by what happens in 0, though, it's like she shouldn't be acting like that at all. She should be desensitized to this shit at this point.
Yep. And like seeing her fight a tyrant, or at least a prototype tyrant, and then seeing her, you know, fight the bosses and Centipede and the fucking giant bat and all these fucking enemies, then seeing her in that game, it's just like something is really off.
Little Rebecca takes on an 8-foot-tall tyrant by herself and takes it down.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's scared, hiding in the fucking supply room in Resident Evil 1.
Yeah, and then William Birkin is in this game too. And what happened? Yeah, so is Wesker. And seeing what William Birkin does in this one, and he acts all surprised in Resident Evil 2 when Umbrella's coming after him and his G-Virus. Like, the continuity is messed up. I really,
That
what's up?
oh, go ahead. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was like, I really feel like they could have done better writing in this game. I felt like we need to get a prequel. We need to show, what Umbrella was doing and how the T virus got released. Let's just put something up, and that's what they did.
Yeah, actually, I did kind of pick up on something when I was reading about development stuff for this game,
Mm-hmm.
where it seemed like they were making it, but they didn't really have like a totally thought out story until pretty late into the development cycle.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that might be part of the reason why this is. That thing with Birkin, I think, is minor. That's, to me, that's kind of a just desserts thing where he's
Mm-hmm.
like, he was being a real smug prick when he helped carry that out. Haha, now I'll be the fucking star researcher, G virus. And then, well, that attitude came back and bit him in the ass because he got fucking assassinated and they took his shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of funny. But
It,
a lot of the continuity problems comes from Rebecca and just other things that happen. Like, why does she never mention that she found all this shit to like any of them? Like, I found a facility out in the woods somewhere too. There's more to this than what we know here.
mm-hmm.
Like, she doesn't say anything about any of that. It's like that's really odd.
It's like every franchise, either in movie, TV shows, or comics and stuff. When something is really good, it's like, man, we ended the series, but we can make a prequel. And I feel like that's what they did. And then that's why I said they needed to change the character. Rebecca should have been a side character, and maybe have another Bravo team member be the main character. But then you wouldn't have Billy Cohen. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Which I don't really mind Billy. I don't feel very strongly for him or against him. He was just kind of okay to me.
They always use this in like military people that are like arrested falsely and stuff. Like he killed a village of people, and then you find out it was like somebody else.
I feel like what he got arrested for, like, I think this was implied anyway, is like he saw that massacre happen, and I feel like what happened was he got in a fight with his superior. He possibly killed him to stop it, and that's why he's like. And then it looks like, well, he just killed all these fucking people and killed his commanding officer or something.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? This guy never shows back up in any of the other games, so it's like, you don't really get too invested in these side characters that just show up once and go away forever.
I would mark out for Billy Cohen in future Resident Evil games, by the way.
He was one of the better ones that showed up because he's not that offensive. He doesn't really, irritate you like Steve does or Carlos does sometimes.
Yeah, Steve could die. Billy could live.
Billy was competent and usually had like a good sense of like what to do and all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if they brought him back or something, that would be kind of neat. But I don't know.
Hey man, anything. Never say never.
Yeah.
That's another wrestling term.
I'm
trying
what
to
about the? You still want to talk about continuity, right?
No, I mean I'm out of continuity. Do you have any else to add about continuity?
There's more. There's a lot more to this than just the stuff with Rebecca. There's like how the virus gets unleashed.
Yeah, that's another one.
Marcus, all this stuff with Marcus, this character, this guy who's like one of the original researcher for the T virus
that sings opera.
Yeah, he turns into. I saw in the comment section for a video I was watching about this game, kind of doing what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said something about how like, man, that whole opera gimmick, how he gets killed and he gets revived by leeches and he can control leeches by singing, is like, that's so fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, that sounds like a character that should be in a Parasite Eve game, not Resident Evil.
I feel like Megami was like playing Parasite Eve, and he's like, "Man, we need to have a singing character in our game."
I don't think Mikami had much to do with this game. He didn't really come up that much when I read about development.
Then it had to be Capcom. Capcom had to been playing Parasite Eve and been like, "Hey, what if we had an opera singer that controls leeches?"
Maybe like it just comes off like he should be in a Final Fantasy, more of a Parasite Eve game. Now I played those and I know about them more.
And this unleashing the virus kind of thing, like they went overboard with one, the leeches, two, a giant scorpion coming on a train out of nowhere, a giant bat, giant centipede, then these fucking apes. What
Well,
else?
they were experiments.
Yeah.
The monkeys were,
Mhm.
but the bat, like, and the scorpions, like, how far did this shit spread? Shouldn't there just be like a bunch of stuff in that forest that's like infected now, and it's like a monster? If that's the case,
I
it
don't know.
just, I don't know. It seemed kind of like, I don't know. It seems a little far fetched, but that whole deal with the Marcus was like awful, and like, like how he's the one that spread the virus somehow. I'm not sure. I guess he attacked the underground facility at the mansion and broke it out, when originally it was just an accident. You know, like they fucked up or something and then it got out.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, more believable, I guess. It's definitely more believable than this shit.
Yeah. Yeah, so bottom line is like the continuity is just, it's out of control. Definitely doesn't feel connected when you see both characters in both games acting differently and other stories that are happening in the game.
Nope.
Just doesn't add up. But let's move on to some voice acting. Quickly noted that Rebecca Chambers, voice actor, did really well. Billy Cohen did really well. There were some cheesy moments like, "What are you, part of Stars?" And I'm like,
the way he says that, he's like, "You're with Stars." I'm like, what the fuck? Why'd you say it so long like that?
Yeah, like they still had their campy moments, and Wesker was a little weird, and Birkin was weird.
Birkin came off real campy. Like he was like real kind of over the top a bit. He felt more like a guy that would be in one of the earlier games.
Yeah, you'll never catch me. Like,
I'm going to take over your research. That's like literally what he does.
Yeah.
While that guy is like dying on the floor, and then Wesker bends over and like mocks him like he's like a fucking some 17-year-old bitch in high school with a clique or something.
Yep.
I'm like, what the Wesker would do this shit? And this is still when they couldn't really pin down like what they wanted Wesker to sound like.
Mm-hmm.
He had like that. Suddenly he was British in Code Veronica, and he wasn't originally. And then they did remake, and he sounds like, you know, American again. And then he sounds British in this. Okay.
Well, I'm an evil villain. Chip, cheerio.
He was real. Poor Dr. Marcus. It's like, oh god. He was over the top too, Marcus was.
Yeah, they eventually get it right, but it's in like Resident Evil 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, like, nothing really else to talk about. It's just another Resident Evil game with some campiness and some you know, good scenes with good acting. So, anything else to add before we move on?
About the VO stuff, not really. Nope.
Alrighty, let's go into some damn apes, because I fucking hate those apes. But that's just the name of the title. Different versions of Resident Evil Zero. You had the GameCube. Did it come out for PS2? It never came out for PS2, right?
Nope. Those games remained exclusive up until they came out on the Wii later.
Yeah, the Wii had like some waggle stuff with the motion stuff, but they still had the same game pretty much.
I mean, you could use a classic controller and play it that way.
Yeah.
I think you could even use a GameCube controller if you wanted.
Mm-hmm. And then
Plus, there's not really anything different about those versions.
no, not at all. Then it came out PS3, correct?
Yeah, it came out on PS3 and 360 when they did the HD thing, and then they ported them up to the current consoles
Yeah,
and E2.
yeah, PS4 and the PC, and then eventually it came out on the Switch, where there was apparently problems with load times. That's the only thing I heard about that game, is that the load times is a little long than usual. And the camera system is all fucked up in that game. I know we had a debate on Facebook about this, because I was gonna buy these games, and then all of a sudden I don't want to spend $30.
There was a lot of reports about these games coming out on Switch having problems.
Mm-hmm.
Problems that used to not exist. Frame rate, like Remake is just trash. It has frame rate dips in it. And Zero has like the controls are weird in it, and yeah, both of them have load time problems. Apparently, these aren't as bad if you buy the cartridge.
The only cartridges there is Resident Evil 0. Resident Evil 1 is download, and then Resident Evil 4 is download also.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like Capcom tried to just do a catch grab, pretty much.
Why would you do that when like both of those games are more popular than Zero? That makes no sense.
I don't know, and it pisses me off that companies do this with Nintendo. Like, Nintendo obviously wants to have third party, but then they have these third party like companies go, all right, we're gonna put Witcher 3 on your Switch, but we're not gonna do anything. We're just gonna port it, okay? And then you fucking get it on the system, and then it's like running like trash, and then it's unplayable, and they never fix it, because who gives a fuck? It's Nintendo. We already got our money on PS4 and Xbox One and PC. Who gives a fuck?
It's really disappointing about Witcher 3, although I mean I can totally understand. That sounds like that'd be difficult to do.
Well, that's a rumor, and I'm dreading it because of Resident Evil. I'm hoping that maybe they put some work into Witcher 3. Actually, I heard the Assassin's Creed game 3 on Switch is really good. Tell me this: how does Ubisoft, which is always known for having buggy ass games, have a good port, but Capcom can't put out a good port on a fucking Nintendo system?
I guess it comes down to personnel and motivation.
It's sad.
Just my whole thing with bringing that up is because I've got several friends that have a Switch. You have a Switch. I don't have a Switch yet, just because I'm not ready to buy one.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that this has been going on a lot, where they're porting more games to it. But I'm just like, hey, maybe you should kind of watch out for how these turn out a little bit more, because it seems like Switch ports are kind of hit and miss.
Yeah. And they always like my strategy in buying games now are way different than what they used to be. I used to be like, oh, I'm gonna buy it right now. Now I kind of just I see what the reviews are with YouTubers, not like big websites, and then I just waited out like a month, and if the game is still being talked about and being played and stuff, I'd be like, all right, the hype is real. I'm gonna go buy it, because there's always a high when the game comes out. It's always the first 2 weeks where people just go, oh, the game's amazing, and then after the 2 weeks, you never hear the game again.
Yeah, you got to be more careful these days, just because of how they all handle themselves. Like it really came about with like the last generation of consoles, how they started treating game releases.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, oh, we can just patch it, fuck it, we'll just put it out there and we'll fix it with a patch later. It's kind of like not really good. I preferred it when you used to have to put out a game that worked, no matter what. you know. But yeah, you gotta
Everything.
be more careful these days. I still buy games like instantly if I know I want them.
Yeah.
You know, and if problems come about, whatever, you know, I take that risk. But there are other instances like these here, like when you hear, oh, we're porting to this, we're porting to Switch. I know you just gotta be careful about that stuff sometimes. Ports don't always turn out great. Sometimes there's problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it upset me because I don't know if they're ever gonna patch it. I
They
could.
might not, you know, that happens a lot.
Mm-hmm. Look at WWE 2K19 on fucking Nintendo Switch. Garbage frame rate.
Oh, really? I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, and they didn't patch it, and now the game is still running around like $40, and I'm like, it should be like $5.
But
It's that bad. Like once it starts hitting triple threat, it starts slowing down. That's how bad it
ooh,
is.
man, that's not good. I
Yeah.
mean, I get the appeal of wanting to buy a game on a Switch that would otherwise be on something else. I
Mm-hmm.
totally get it, you know, because there's the portability factor of it, and it's nice. It's a nice size for that. Because I know there's some people that are like, I just can't get into portable systems because the screen's small and shit. Well, the Switch is basically the size of a tablet, so that kind of eliminates that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's just you got because it's Nintendo, they're always usually below the hardware curve, and they do that on purpose. It's for money reasons usually.
Mm-hmm. Because they know
It's
they know they can get money out of Pokemon, out of Mario, out of fucking Metroid and all that games that don't need high graphics like The Last of Us or Death Stranding and all that crap.
it's a smart strategy that works for them. Like I don't blame them for doing that because it keeps costs down for them and it makes things more affordable for the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you gotta always ever since uh we got into Wii, you gotta really watch how ports go because they're not gonna be the same because that hardware is beneath the competitors. You gotta know that.
Yep. Fucking third party fuckers. Don't fucking try to cash grab me ever again. We kind of touched on a bonus modes and unlockables where you could get Wesker shooting laser out of his eyes like Superman,
Yeah.
and how to get the weapons and stuff. Is there anything else? They had costumes in this game, correct?
Yeah, I think it used to be when you on the original version, I think you had to play Leech Hunter a little to unlock them, or you had to beat the game to unlock them.
Mm-hmm.
But like now, there's just a costume suitcase that Rebecca and Billy have, and you can access a lot. Um, I really like that they added her prototype outfit from like when it was on N64,
Mm-hmm.
and I really like how they added her outfit from the original Resident Evil. You know, when she has like the bandana and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the one I use when I play.
Yeah, because
But
continuity.
she lost her bandana. Where'd it go?
Fucking.
um, but like, I do want to play this game again sometime later. Just playing Wesker mode.
Mm-hmm.
Just because that motivates me to play it again. And I've been trying to play Leech Hunter, but it's kind of hard. But I have like a strategy I figured out because if you ever go to play it, Leech Hunter is a lot less stressful than playing the main game. I'll say that because you know what you're in for.
I just fucking hate leeches and the leech people with the long arms. Like,
Well, it's not about like killing them. I guess the title's. It's really what it is it's a bonus game where you run around and you pick up leech charms,
yeah.
and like each character can pick up 50 of each kind. Like Rebecca can pick up green and Billy can only pick up blue. And ideally what you want to do is get all 100 so you can unlock everything.
Huh.
But the thing is, when you pick up a leech charm, they stack in tens, and you can't drop any of them once you pick them up. So you kind of run through the training facility. All this takes place in the training facility. Not every area is accessible though. Some of them are just blocked off. It mainly takes place in the main building. But like once you figure out, oh, I can't drop any of this shit, and you're supposed to kind of go through and pick up more weapons and recovery items to help you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, fuck, that's not a good idea. So I developed a strategy where basically what I do is I go through the whole game just picking up weapons and recovery items and clearing the whole place out. And then once that's done, what I'm supposed to do is just drop everything and pick up all the charms and just get out of there. I've yet to do that because I've died 3 times trying to do it this way. It's just tough. It's kind of hard, but I have fun while I do it.
Yeah, I never messed around with any of these bonus modes before because I don't know. I'm weird when it comes. I should be trying to do that just so that I can milk a game. Like the only games I ever milked before was all the Metal Gear games, especially playing like European fucking mode. That's fucking hard as fuck.
Bonus modes in the whole games are fun. Like 2, like you got Extreme Battle in 2, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had Fourth Survivor. That's hard as shit in the original game. Then, you know, in 2, we had Fourth Survivor and all that other stuff. I wish they had battle mode in Tank 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's sorely missed. And then 3 had Mercenaries.
Every time when I finish a story, I'm just like, I'm done with the main story. I'm done with the game. I've always been that way, and I just need to stop doing that.
Battle mode's fun though in 2 because it's just like you just pick a character and you just run through and kill shit. It's almost more like stress relief at that point.
Yeah, they should do that with all the games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other bonus modes you is there? Because I don't know.
That's kind of it. It was just Leech Hunter, and then they added Wesker mode in the HD version.
Yeah, it's interesting. I should try out Wesker mode. I think I'd have fun, like you said. Do you have any good stories or journals or diaries that you find in this game?
You know, none of them really stood out too much to me.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the only one I think I really liked any was the guy who was part of the team that was sent to basically restart the training facility.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same one I was going to use.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because he found like all the fucked up shit that was there, and like he talked about like, oh, there's weird creatures are here. It's like we found out he's been doing experiments on people. Like, what the fuck? You know, like he's all surprised, like he doesn't know about any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I like the whole train scene. Most of the documents I thought it was pretty convenient that every document that I found had something to do with researching the virus or researching Umbrella.
Well, that train is an Umbrella company train, actually.
Oh, I didn't. I only saw that one guy with the the pin. I guess that was a company train. Wow.
It's for all their employees and stuff. It's what it is. That's why it's like that.
Gotcha. But yeah, I love the train scene.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that should have been later in the game, or do you think it was perfect to get to obviously the destination of the training facility?
No, I think it's fine where it's at, because it's kind of like immediately you're kind of thrown into like a weird situation. Like you're on a train, and this train's like really opulent and strange, just like how all the good areas are in Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the mansion is like the key example of that, and then throughout the series they try to replicate that. It's like this police station is like weirdly opulent and strange too. And so is the clock tower in Resident Evil 3. You know, it gives you similar vibes.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Who who started the train, by the way? Was it the Umbrella soldiers? Is that what they were going for, by the way?
I think so, yeah, because like you don't know that they're on there at first, and then there's that cutscene where they all get wiped out by leech bullshit.
Oh, that's what I want to bring up. Did you feel that there was a lot of cutscenes in this game?
There's more in this game than what were in other ones. Like, yeah, if you're not counting the in-game cutscenes, if you're talking about the CG ones,
Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely more CG in this game, which it was really good in this game when it came out, so they might have been doing that on purpose to show it off.
Yeah, I just felt like they overdid it too much a little bit, where it's like you go in this room and they're like, oh, activate cutscene, and then you go down the hall, you activate cutscene, and especially when they do end-game cutscenes where you see one of your Bravo team member guys like is a zombie, I'm like, oh my god, emotional moment.
There's a couple that are like really pointless. Like, you know, when she goes into the first car where like everybody animates there and you have to take them down really quick.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like immediately after that ends, there's just another CG cutscene where she's like, "What? I thought they were dead." And then it's over and you're back in the game like, "What? What was the point of that?"
Yeah. I
just let it settle.
You could definitely tell that they were trying to show up the power of the GameCube. They're like, oh, look at this amazing cutscene. Oh, look at this amazing cutscene. I'm like, oh god. Some of them, while I was playing it the second time on PC, I kept on skipping it. I was like, I don't want to see it anymore. Stop it. Yeah, but that was a good story. Do you have any personal stories about this game?
You know, not really, to be honest.
Okay.
That might be just because I always felt this game was disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Even back when it was brand new, I kind of had mixed feelings about this game. It was like my least favorite out of all the classic styles.
Yeah, I actually do have a personal story. So,
Okay.
me and my friend in oh wow, this came out in 2002.
Two.
So I was still in New York. So this was middle school for me. Yeah, yeah, it is middle school. We did a website, a fan club for Resident Evil, and it did it right when before we actually did it before Resident Evil 0. So this was still 2001. We were seeing stories in Game Informer and seeing stuff in Funko Land, their little TV of all the Resident Evil 0 stuff, and we decided to do artwork for Resident Evil series. He would do like like the Funko Pops, how they look. They look like cartoony.
Yeah.
Well, he was drawing pretty much like Funko Pops on paper.
That's kind of cool.
So he did
Funko before it existed.
Yeah, so he might be the fucking owner of Funko. Who knows? I actually got to look into that. But he would like draw like these cartoony Resident Evil characters, and I would just draw like all the bosses. So I drew Nemesis. I drew that fucking big ass scorpion in Resident Evil 0. And then I would go to my dad, and he would, put it on the scanner, because the scanners were huge in 2001. Like, hey, you like to scan your pictures? Here's this big ass fucking scanner. And eventually we put it on GeoCities, because that's how we made websites back then.
Yeah, Angel Fire
and GeoCities.
I take it back. I do have a personal story. It doesn't have anything to do with this game in particular, though, but because of what you brought up, it reminded me of something.
Okay, shoot.
Back in high school, because when this game came out, I was in high school. I think I was a freshman back then.
Mm-hmm.
But like in high school, I made some new friends there, and we all liked Resident Evil a lot. And we did this thing where it's like, remember MSN Messenger?
Yeah.
Okay. MSN Messenger was like not as popular as AOL Messenger, but whatever. It's what we all used.
I think I was still rocking ICQ.
Oh wow. I was always an MSN Messenger guy. But we would all get on there, just chat and bullshit like after school, because it was better than being on the phone all day and get pissing your parents off and stuff. Like we could just talk to each other all the time, like after school on chat. Eventually, I don't know how this came about, but we would always like do this thing where we would goof off and like pretend like we're one of the characters in the game and like basically make a parody out of it, kind of thing.
Really role playing.
Yeah, and like this eventually morphed into this project where all of us were basically writing in screenplay format parodies of these games and just totally like just making it like a comedy basically.
Nice.
And it was really silly and dumb. Like it was really dumb. And it would be stuff like we basically made Chris like a retard, like he was a total retard. See where this comes from now.
I dropped my bag of guns. No.
One of my friends, like we were basically like making picks of who would play who, and one of my friends couldn't make it at the time, and he got stuck with just a few characters that were just left over.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was Barry, and he specifically made it to where like Barry was also retarded too, but in a more endearing way.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it would be stuff like he would make fun of how some of the shit Barry would say, like, well, it's a weapon, it's really powerful. So he took that gimmick and basically made it to where Barry would always just say really obvious things. Like he was Captain Obvious. Like they're standing there in front of a door, him and Jill, and he's like, it's a door. And then she's like, I know. And then she goes to the door. Like Jill was the straight man, basically. I played Jill. Everybody else was always stupid or up their own ass or something. She was the only one that was straight. But we did this all the way up to Code Veronica. We did every game like that. And I have the printed out copies that I made in school at the computer lab. I used printer paper and ink from the school to print it out.
You still have that?
I still have them, yes.
Damn.
It's pretty neat, yeah.
You should put that up one day.
Fuck, I'll have to scan them. I don't have the old computer files. I just have the hard copies.
I mean, it's easier these days for scanners now. All you got to do is like put them through a feeder.
Yeah, it's just one of those little miniature scanners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've come a long way. It used to be open up this fucking lid, and then you center it perfectly on like the glass. And then you shut the lid and you press the button and you wait like 5 minutes.
And you know when you shut the lid, like it would like move the piece of paper and then fuck up your scan.
Yeah, it's like off by like 10 degrees and it's fucking sideways and shit.
Yeah. Oh my god. The late 90s and early 2000s technology was still dumb.
Kind of miss those times a little bit. Things were simpler.
Yep. A quick personal story, not related to the game. In my area, we had an abandoned building. It was kind of big, kind of looked like the mansion. And me and my friends used to do like a role play kind of thing, just, in person. And I would always be Barry, because I would always say the dumb things. Like, what a mansion! And that's all.
Barry used to be a joke, but now everybody loves Barry.
Yep. What's funny is that I had the same vest as Barry Burton, so that's why I roleplayed him.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. He's actually one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, now he is. Everybody used to be like, Barry's like fucking lame or whatever. It was like when you get older, like appreciate the cheesy parts of Resident Evil better.
Oh no, dude,
Like,
I liked him because he had that big ass gun. Like,
me too. That's why I liked him. Like that fucking just badass. Barry's running around with this big ass revolver, just one shotting zombies.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, let's move on to the last stop. Now this is going to be the lightning round, where we quickly go and say, what our favorite was, what is our favorite part of the game, weapons, yada yada yada. Who do you prefer to play as?
Billy, because of the reasons I said before, which was faster. He shoots faster. He takes more damage. It's easier to explore with him.
Yeah, I think I would have to choose Billy because of he could take more hits. He's faster. Just how we said before, pretty much.
Yeah.
What is your favorite boss battle?
The Proto Tyrant, both versions.
Uh,
Mostly because like the Scorpion is like super easy. It's just you're stuck in a big hallway and you can't really move. All you
mhm.
can do is just shoot it in the head. So there's really no strategy to that.
Yeah.
And then like everything else is like super simple like that too. Like that big centipede, it's just you shoot it. You don't try not to get hit and shoot it. There's I might forget the bat. The bat was like the most annoying one.
I actually enjoyed the Queen Leech.
Yeah, that's fun. You know, it's fun. It's just I like the Proto Tyrant in this game because it's to me it's like my favorite Tyrant appearance because he's like way taller than like a usual one,
Mm-hmm.
and he's weird looking. Like he shakes and shit, and it's kind of creepy. It's because he's like it's a Proto Tyrant. I think he's like a failed tyrant. But yeah, I don't know. I always thought that one was like the creepiest looking version of him and stuff, and I just liked it.
Yeah, so we're different. You like the Tyrant, I like the Queen Leech.
That's the runner up though.
Yep.
The Queen Leech fights.
Well, that's the next, good fight. I mean, the other one's Giant Scorpion, Giant Centipede, Giant Bat. It's just like, fuck off.
The thing about the Scorpion though is it's cool looking. It's a spectacle because it busts through that roof and it causes all that wind to blow, and it's causing like all those curtains and shit in the background to billow and blow around, and the wind's hitting you, and it's a really cool like set piece. But the fight itself is like pretty dull.
Yeah, but when you kill it and then you go back up there, the Scorpion's gone.
It's gone. Well, that's like everything else. It just disappears when you come back and it loads.
Yeah, because I was like, me and Rebecca are coming back upstairs, and I'm like, oh, check out the Scorpion I just killed. Like, oh, it's gone. We forgot to kind of quickly touch on this. Well, we talked about it anyway. The apes were annoying to shoot at. Little, what would they call it? Eliminators or accelerators?
They call them eliminators, yeah.
Yeah, they had that, and then they had the leeches. I call them like the thing monsters because they kind of mimic the people that they take over, and they have these long ass arms, but they're like bullet spongy. That was annoying. Like every time I saw it, I was like, I just need to get away from them.
Yeah, that gets back into the balancing of the game a little bit, which is I feel like it's not balanced great because I feel like there's a healing item deficit. Some of these enemies are just kind of hard to deal with, like the eliminators especially.
Mm-hmm.
They take way too many hits, and they're fast, and they jump off walls and stuff. They're really hard to deal with in a fixed camera angle game.
Yeah.
And yeah, the leech monsters are another one where it's like they take a bunch of fucking bullets if you don't use a fire-based weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And your options are flame grenades if you have them, which would be the best way to deal with them. Or you make Molotov cocktails, which suck because this gets into that whole deal where the animations are too slow in this game and they cause you to get hit.
Mm-hmm.
The wind up to throw it is like super slow. You can't be too far away or it's just going to hit the ground. So you kind of got to get in this fairly close range to even hit them.
Yeah.
And you're going to get hit. There's no way to avoid it. It's going to grab you and it's going to fuck you up. And it might even do it 2 or 3 times before you kill it with these things.
Yeah. And that's what sucks. That's what I really wanted to bring up is those 2 enemies just don't make them ever again.
They haven't so far.
Yeah, hopefully. What's your favorite part of the game?
Favorite part is the train.
We're gonna be on the same on that one. Train is for me. Favorite weapons?
Well, probably the Magnum and the grenade launcher.
We're gonna be
mostly. Magnum's just fucking satisfying. It always is. That's the only one that felt like it didn't change much.
Mm-hmm.
The grenade launcher is actually really good in this game. It's very versatile. probably the best weapon in the game because the shotgun feels a little underpowered in this one sometimes.
Yep.
This submachine gun's pretty nice too when you get to play with it.
Yeah, but like submachine guns usually go out quickly if you don't use it right. And I'm gonna have to agree with you on the weapons. The grenade launcher and Magnum is the most fun I had in that game. The shotgun, I was like, I did the whole aim for the head thing, and some of the times their heads would blow off and would fuck me up.
Yeah, I don't know. You had to aim a little specifically in this one for him. That reminds me of something else real quick. I didn't bring this up back when we were talking about items. It slipped my mind. Did you ever have problems picking items up in this game?
Yes.
Yeah, it seems like everything's off. Like you're right there, but it's like I can't grab it. And you get hit because you're fucking around trying to pick up an item.
I think the camera angle is what fucks it up, because even when I was like trying to open the door, I would hit something diagonal from the door, be like, oh, this is a painting. I'm like, no, I didn't hit the painting, I hit the door. And I felt like that with the items, like when there was 2 herbs there, I would want to go for the green one, but I would choose the red one, and I'm like, it's fucking annoying.
I feel like I don't know what else to call them other than a hitbox. I feel like the hitboxes for these items in this game are too small.
Mm-hmm.
Because in every other game, it's like if you're in the general vicinity of the item and your character, they don't even have to necessarily face it, like totally. If they're kind of there, you can pick it up. This one, it felt like you had to be dead on, like pixels. It's like, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, good catch, by the way, because that was another thing. Like when I was in danger, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to pick up this item. It's gonna take forever. So
Yeah.
I would just get out of that room, just in general. All right, what is your best rank?
I don't remember any of my previous ranks, but I got a D on this one.
Yeah, I got the same thing, because
I got really paranoid about dying and shit, and I started saving more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I don't know. This game felt pretty difficult compared to a lot of the other ones.
Well, yeah, because you have to worry about 2 characters, and you have the 4D chess where do I place my character here, or do I place my item here and then come back for it? Like, you had to pre-plan before you did something.
Yeah, it's true. You had to plan ahead more in this game than any other one.
Mm-hmm. Like other games, you would have to, like, you would go through a section, and let's say if you did die, be like, oh, I guess I don't do that. And this one, yeah, there's trial and error on what to do with the characters, but if you went with one character, be like, oh, this enemy's more powerful, and I went in with Rebecca, that means I have to be on my top game or she's gonna die quickly.
Yep.
So, like, there was I want to say I did at least 40 saves.
I didn't do that many. I think I had maybe 20 or so. I think it might have been at 20.
Mm-hmm. I got too paranoid. I was like, I'm not doing this fucking section again. Because of the save.
I died more in this game, I think, than any other one I've played so far.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even die when I played Remake. I didn't die once.
I'm not gonna lie. I definitely flirted with restarting the game on easy mode.
I refuse. I can't do it.
Because I got pretty fucking ragey. I was like, I'm gonna fucking quit this game, but I had to do it because of the podcast. So
We have an obligation.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're pretty much the same on this section, because we know what to do in Resident Evil games. Now, I want to bring something up for the final countdown. I remember I said there was 13 games. And I want to bring up that I am bad at math. So I was, going back on the list of games that we're supposed to play, and I'm like, it's kind of too short. Because the Outbreaks, I'm going to put them all together. I'm not gonna say Outbreak 1 and 2. They're gonna be based on the same because they're online games. I wouldn't count them as different.
I don't even know if we could really rank those games. It's kind of not fair.
Yeah.
You know, we can't play them as they're intended to be played.
So you know what? Not 15. It's gonna be 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got Survivor, and the Revelations games 1 and 2. But anyway, Zach, where do you place Resident Evil 0?
Well, all I know is right now I like it less than Code Veronica.
Really? Okay.
So beneath it, that's probably going to get shifted around later. Some of these are probably going to get shifted around, but I'm going to put it at 8.
Cool.
Just for now.
All right. So to kind of recap here, at number 1 you have Resident Evil 1 Remake. At number 2 you have Resident Evil 2 Remake. At number 3 you have Resident Evil 2 1998. At 4 you have Resident Evil 3. At 5 Resident Evil 1. At 7 is Code Veronica, and now at 8 is Resident Evil 0.
Yep.
My ranking, I like it a little bit more than Code Veronica, and I like Resident Evil 1 Remastered a little more than Resident Evil 0. So I have it at number 9.
Okay.
So mine is number 1 is Resident Evil 3, number 2 is Resident Evil 2 Remake, and number 3 is Resident Evil 2 1998, and number 7 is Resident Evil 1, and number 8 is Resident Evil 1 Remastered, at 9 is Resident Evil 0, and at 10 is Code Veronica.
Yeah.
Yep. So we are done with the REbirth episode. Now the next one is I named it, and I am doing air quotes, the bad games, where we're gonna have one episode. We're not gonna put this in multiple parts because all the games are quick, and the outbreaks are just online games. So we're gonna just do like quick mentions about it.
Just touch on it a little bit.
Yeah. Survivor, I think we will go into deep detail, and then I believe Dead Aim will go into somewhat of a deep detail, but not too much, because they are short games.
Yeah. And then there was, I forgot, were we going to do anything about those Chronicles games?
No, I mean, I think we'll have like a recap episode where we mention the movies, we mention the books, and then we'll mention like all these side games that happened.
Sure.
Yeah. Be like, yeah, they came out on Wii. It was somewhat okay. They had that cool gun, but that's about it. That light gun.
I thought they were kind of fun.
They were fun, but just like, it's another cash grab where they're like, yeah, we know the Wii can't do all this power, so let's put it on a rail shooter. Which is not bad because I do like Time Crisis. I do like the House of Dead and all that crap.
I like those kinds of games.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have the bad episode next, and then this is where I think we're gonna have a little more fun, but also frustration. I mean, after Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 4 is a good game, but Resident Evil 5 and 6, huh? I'm dreading those episodes.
Oh, it won't be that bad, I don't think.
Don't think. Resident Evil 5, I fucking hate that game.
I've come to terms with it. I don't hate it anymore.
No, I still hate it.
You might change your mind this time. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe. But anyway, I think that's where we'll end it. Will you be streaming any other Resident Evil games? I noticed you didn't do 0.
Yeah, I already streamed Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really set up to do any of the other stuff yet.
Okay.
So I probably won't from here on. Like, I could probably stream 5. I just figured you're going to do that because we're both going to play it.
Yeah, we're going to be doing Co-op. This should be fun.
I think we're gonna kind of intermittently tackle sex with different people because I said I was doing a playthrough with Andy, and I think he's going to join us on that.
Cool. And I think he's going to do 4 with us too, right?
He is going to do 4.
All right, sweet. To catch our episodes, the Nemesis Project, we are on Podbean. If you go to novnetwork.podbean.com, we're on there. We're also on Spotify and iTunes. If you search up Nerd of View Network, we're there. And if we go on our website, which I'm still updating, by the way, I have a new theme, and I'm going to have a new setup, and there's going to be more shit to do on that website on nerdreview.com. And we post all our podcasts on there, too. But until next time, everybody, thank you for watching the REbirth episode. We're going to be moving on to the bad episode. Until next time, later, guys.
Peace.